I will call the regular meeting of the Irmo Town Council to order and recognize Councilman Younger to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Father, Lord, we thank you for this time that we can gather together and make decisions for this town. Lord, I pray that you just bless each of the citizens that are present tonight and bless them as they return to their homes. In your name we ask. Amen.
The next item is the reading of the minutes for June 16th. Is there a motion for the minutes to be approved as written?
So moved.
And second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? I have one question. It's not on the minutes, but it just had the address back there. The gentleman, Reginald Bruce, 1408 Brookview, that came and asked us about the road that was over there in Murraywood. I know you said you found out something about that, but I couldn't remember what it was. I think the county was supposed to fix it or had it on schedule.
They said they were coming back to fix it.
But it hadn't been fixed yet.
No, they milled it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Put the asphalt down.
Wasn't it half the road or something?
Yeah,
Right.
one side.
Right.
Any more discussion about the minutes? All in favor then of them being approved as written, do so with show of hands. All opposed? And next item is the administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, anything you know add to it?
No, sir.
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Brown?
I have one question. What's the status on the sidewalk in Carlisle?
It's still moving along. They got all the money, they don't need any more, and they are trying to get one final piece of right of way from Mr. Moore.
So I told them I won't give it.
Have you heard from them?
Well, yeah, I told them I'll give it to them. Please.
They just needed you to sign something they were going to
I
do.
told them I'll sign.
I
I've asked them to do some piping if they will, instead of giving him money for the pipes. I can't, they won't come get it signed. But it's done, they tell me it's gonna be done in August. So, I told them they got the ball.
do I need to ask them to come pick it up? Is it at your office?
I talked to the young lady, just,
Yeah, Julie Parker. She's
she's supposed to be calling me back. I haven't heard anything. You call Julie and just say, hey, Julie, Mr. Moore's waiting on you.
I will.
Any other questions, Mr. Brown? Any other discussion on the briefing?
Did you get that letter from the sheriff packet?
No, sir, I haven't seen anything.
Did he respond to the letter you sent him?
He has not. And that letter was sent about 6 weeks ago.
Right. Did he get it?
I haven't got a response.
Next item is receipt of communications. One thing I wanted to ask or bring up, and I'm guessing, I think this stuff that I sends out to everybody, I think I saw on there where everybody's name. I don't know if y'all had an opportunity to go through these things, but I know I was just noticing this new one that came from Live, and she had a little letter attached to it. Wow, she's getting more and more calls because people are calling advance and either waiting 20 or 30 minutes on the phone and then hanging on calling Irmo, or they're calling advance and then it's not getting responded to and then 2 days later. But, you know, I'd like y'all to look through that, and then that one sheet, these are the ones that Vi does, it seems to them. I mean, this little printed one is the one that comes from advance back to Vi. And I noticed on that last one that came back from advance, the July 13th one, I think it was, July 7th and 13th. The date was 7/9 when most of these calls came into advance, or 17, but it looked like it was 7/13, so underneath the entire street, the whole neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. There's one in here with the lady, they came, looked in her trash can, took one bag out of it, put it in the truck, and left it. That kind of stuff. And then on some of these that are on events, if you go back and correlate with fives, even though it's registered to them as one call, it's really the whole street, if you look at her report. So they're not really getting a whole lot better. I don't know what the answer is, but my opinion, they're not responding within 24 hours, and the calls are, to me, the same as they were 2 or 3 weeks ago when we spoke to them multiple times.
One of the questions I had was, as you look at the back portion, the one that actually comes from Advanced, you've got the same address listed twice with 2 different issues, 2 different customer site numbers, and the same complaint and the same resolution.
And if you go back and look on some of those, I know that 1409 Brookview and a couple of houses like that on there, if you go back to theirs, it kind of says, we called, they didn't do anything, now we call black. So I don't know if that's why they got it twice, because they got complained or something.
Do we track how many times a house the garbage may be missed? I mean, I see it on the report, but I wonder if it's been multiple times in the past year.
Yeah, I'm not real sure, other than when I would go back and read some of that stuff, sometimes the people will make the comment, this happens every week, or this is the 3rd time in the past 6 months, or they'll mention some kind of stuff like that. But
Cul-de-sacs mainly are missed. The calls I get, Charlie Tyler, his cul-de-sac is missed about once a month. And he'll call me and I'll call by, and they just don't go down there. The cul-de-sac I live on was missed, 3 weeks in a row. They did not pick up the recycles. And then finally, they didn't pick up the garbage either, and I called by, but they didn't pick up anybody's on Quail Valley West or General. So it is a lot more than one address, because when I called, it was about 12 houses. So it's significant.
And there's a couple for this neighborhood right over here in Midlands Tech. Belmont, or the one before that.
Carl Commons, that's just on the street.
Girlfriend bought a house over there. Probably 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they missed the whole neighborhood. Last time, they got everything in the neighborhood except for the cul-de-sac. And I guess that one smaller truck that they used to got it. But the time before, they missed the whole neighborhood. Hamilton Park right across the street was there. The week before that, it was the whole neighborhood. So it's,
It's
it's
significant.
a driver quality issue that they just miss a neighborhood. I guess they don't care, or somebody above them doesn't care, but get back out there in the middle of the night, I don't know. But it doesn't appear that it's getting better. They just don't seem like they're fixing whatever the situation is. I just wanted to bring that up during that to make sure we can kind of look at that a little bit closer. And kind of what Vi's saying here is I think she's getting more calls because people that did call, the answer now, which I'm kind of glad, I'd rather them all come in to us so we can kind of track the calls as opposed to have here and have.
More and more calling town hall
Yeah.
because they're getting put on hold for 20 minutes there. And when they finally answer, then it's not getting resolved, so they call back. Report it by.
Well, I mean, if council wants to, based on the contract review, then we can always force them to go back to 5 days a week, or 2 days a week, or 3 days a week, or, our call, because we don't think they can do it in one day. I mean, they haven't shown us they can do it all in one day consistently.
You're
I
right.
mean, they may give us a hard time. I mean, that could be an ultimatum. Council would need to be prepared to force them to change the schedule or rebid it.
Yeah, we may need to lean towards that way and just
Can't
look
do
at
one
it
day,
closer and
1 day
closer.
recycle, 1 day garbage.
Just something that spreads it
Break it
out so
up.
they can get it all.
Right.
But right now,
It's
Or-
really impossible.
you know,
Do one side of Lake Murray one day, do everything, other received communications?
If I could just, one, I heard from Phil Yarborough about the annexation of the public library. He just, that they're basically going to be considering, signing that annexation to the library in the not too distant future. Phil said it would be nice if they could just get a letter from Bob Brown saying that the town would encourage or, be happy to receive, just be happy to receive an annexation petition regarding the Irmo library.
I understand it's supposed to be on their agenda for the 28th.
Next week.
I'm told that, but Phil has simply said that it would help him if Bob could just send something saying that, we would like to, we would certainly have, we would certainly,
Look forward to your
look
decision
forward
on
to.
28th.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Any problem with that?
Well,
I just need counsel.
yeah, and I'm still not sure what is our reasoning for annexing. And I know this is not on the agenda, so maybe we need to put it on there, but, I mean, from my understanding, we're after a tract of land that's a swamp land that we may make a park out of that, I don't know that, I was wanting a park. I don't know that, we got the money to spend for another park, and especially in an area that's not really in the center of town. So I don't know, I mean, it seems like it benefits an individual more than it benefits the town.
What you have basically is this, you have the Irmo library, and then behind it, there's 15 acres of land. It runs, directly behind the library, adjacent to Jane Hiller's garden back there. I don't know if you're familiar with Jane Hiller's, tree garden, flower garden that she has back there that she keeps for the library. A friend of mine has offered, he's bought the land and is going to develop the land. What he's offered to do is to develop the 5 acres of land directly behind the library, across from the Greek rest home. There's going to be some patio homes, and he generally does a halfway decent job. He's building now in town. But he's offered to give us somewhere between 8 and 10 acres of land that would run between when I say us, he's offered to give the Irmo Arbor Committee between 8 and 10 acres of land that run between the library and Short Bush River Road behind Kmart. And I, on behalf of the Arbor Day Committee, would certainly like to see that land in town. I've spoken to the Irmo Check and Rec Commission about possibly helping us develop that as another park. I've talked to Chip Huggins about the possibility of securing a large park grant for it. That's one potential park. I've certainly talked to the Arbor Day Committee about maybe us developing that as some sort of green space park. This property has got a number of acres of developable property, and I don't want to see it developed as an apartment complex. So I would love to take ownership of it and make sure that we have control of it. I would love to see Irmo have control of it the way it develops in the future. I do not want to see any type of multifamily housing there. There's a 3-acre pond on this piece of property. The gentleman, before he gives it to the Arbor Day Committee, says he's going to reconstruct the dam, basically rebuild the pond to where there'll be, in effect, 8 to 10 acres of land, and contain a nice 3-acre pond. I think Quit's looked at it and says it's pretty dry. The only way you're going to be able to annex it, though, is to annex the library, because the library is between it and the town limits.
Well, can't he give it to the Arbor Day and y'all do whatever you want to with it? Without it being in the town, just as easy as it being in the town?
Well, if it's in town, it gives us, the ability to control what goes in there, and it also gives us the ability, assuming Chip Huggins and those will do what they say they can do. Arbor Day cannot make application for a park grant. Town of Irmo can. You know, what I would love to consider doing at some point in time in the future, once Arbor Day finishes as another park area, which would be something that would be an amenity to the library. I mean, the thing adjoins the library, so if you have a park and library, I think that's a fairly decent combination. A park and garden have been okay, but a park and library would be tremendous. You would already potentially have parking there available, because you could use the library's parking to go along with the park, at least in part. A pond, and you would then be in a position to be directly across the street from the soccer fields that are being developed by Irmo Chapin. You could conceivably, I've spoken to the folks at Irmo Chapin about whether they'd be interested in joint venturing or taking or doing something with this land, and they're interested. You would basically be in a position where this property can be developed potentially as a park in conjunction with the soccer fields. I mean, if the idea is that Town of Irmo doesn't want another park area, another green space, let us know now when we told you to do. Or maybe we'll take it and do something with it ourselves. But I would hope that in the future this might be something. I'm not talking about doing it tomorrow, but to have access to another 10 acres of land that would take you all the way to Bush River Road, directly across from Slough Shoals Park, directly behind Saddle Oak Shopping Center, and make you now contiguous to one of the largest commercial areas in St. Andrews might not be a bad thing for the town. I mean, we fought over the years to get continuity with our commercial areas. And you suddenly, by this annexation, you would now be contiguous to Saddle Oak Shopping Center, and that whole area down there. You would also be contiguous to the commercial lots across the street that are owned by Irmo Chapin. And if you could get the annexation of those commercial properties across the street, you would have potential source of some additional revenue. But you always had the fear of the city of Columbia coming in that direction and beginning to do there what they've done to us once before. Anytime that you can basically cut off areas of potential shoestring annexations from our neighbors, been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. I certainly, I don't want to repeat it back and forth. I think that the annexation is ultimately a good thing for the town. Nobody will force anybody to do anything, but the options and the options that would be available to us by getting ownership of this property, at least in Arbor Day, the town doesn't. Arbor Day would give it to you if you want it. We give it to the town once we get it, if you want it. The man says he wants to give it to us, but he doesn't care if I give it to the town or not. And I'm sure, I speak for the Arbor Day committee, but I'm certain the town said they want it, we'll give it to you, but we'll keep it too.
Let me just add, because I hear a lot of stuff too, and I don't know exactly what, but I hear it's a swamp, a wetland. As far as control, if the Arbor Day owns it, then I think y'all can control it. You can allow whatever to be built on there or not be built on there, whether it's apartments or whatever. My concern would be owning land right across from Slough Shoals and trying to build a park right across from their park. I think they want it. They would, and I would encourage y'all to work with them first. I think they can get a park land if they go that route. I just, in my mind, and I'm limited on that, but for them to say, yes, we want land across the street, and we got this other land that we just taxed and did bonds and everything else to develop it, for them to say, yes, now we want some other land, I don't know. They may want it just to preserve it. Kmart is right across from CC Pizza, which is in town, and a lot of those shopping centers are contiguous to the railroad track. So all that commercial property could come in anytime they want to for the last 10 years. I don't know that it's going to make it any more easier for them to annex when they've been contiguous. You can tell where I'm going. I'm opposed to it. I don't think we need it. I don't think we need to spend any more money on it. I think we've got 2, 3 beautiful parks already. But if other council does, then that's 3-1 or 4-1 or 3, whatever majority vote, they can do what they want to. I just don't know. I still guy could give it to a conservation easement, if it's a tax benefit.
He thought he was helping me. He thought he was helping me. He's doing us a favor to me, trying to help us. He's been a big supporter of our day.
Well, I just know we end up maintaining it, and cost is there, and from my understanding, at some point, we're gonna get a letter asking us to promise we'll maintain it. And,
The town would never be asked to maintain it if the town didn't want it.
right, but if,
It would be up to Arbor Day to
I
maintain
think
it.
before they annex the property, that's one of the things they're gonna be asking for, is something from us saying we will
No, there's
maintain it.
no, the county will the county will maintain its own library.
No, I'm talking about the land.
Arbor Day will maintain its own land. We'll maintain our land, and it's not a swamp party, it's a nice piece of property.
And
It
maybe,
does
I
have
don't know,
some-
I'm just
it has
curious,
wetlands on it, but-
between the wetland and the swamp, and not buildable, and that's why.
Well, the wetland is basically the pond. I mean, the pond is the wetland. And yes, there is a 3-acre wetland, which basically is a pond, which has had the dam knocked down, so that the dam is not going to be potentially, a problem to anybody. But the guy's gonna reconstruct the pond, so that we'll have, nice piece of dirt. I mean, it doesn't, with the annexation, it carries absolutely zero liability to the town. I just would like to see you annex it because.
No, I'm not saying in town, I'm saying if it gets developed into a park, if somebody's wanting us to take over.
It may. If the town were ever, if something could be worked out for it to be developed, the town said it would basically take it over if we built it, great. If not, we've got other options available to us by way of the rec commission and the county. We both, well, not the county so much, but as the rec commission, especially said that.
Yeah, I don't think the county does.
So, I mean, but I'd love to see you annexed. I think it would be, I think it gives you some additional protection from shoestrings, and it also gives you the control over that property all the way to Bushwick. But I mean, if you don't want it, just let me know, and I'll stop all the work.
Well, if you're asking me, I'd say no, but that's only one vote.
Okay. Well, if the other four are basically inclined to say, yes, I would love to see somebody write the county a letter and say, we would certainly, encourage the annexation of the library. So that really all they need.
I, for one, would like to see the letter written.
I would too. Yeah, our only commitment, if we apply for the park grant, then we agree to, maintain whatever's built out there.
Well, we're just talking about the library right now.
I'm talking about the, land behind it.
But we're just,
Yeah, I don't see why we can't annex the library.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's fine. By
But
itself.
you're annexing the library, you annex the other.
Well, I'm gonna go look at it, because I have not, I've seen it from the street, but I think we all want to go look at it. and
I
see.
have.
Yeah, I think it's important to know what we're doing and right through there.
They're gonna comprehend that?
All will check.
Small check everywhere.
All right, where we at? Next item is, any more receipt for communication? Any more receipt for communication? Next item is presentation by citizens. This is for anyone who wants to address town council on any issue that's on the agenda. All we ask you is to come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and then also the agenda item that you want to speak to. Anyone who would like to address that? Hey, guys. Hey there.
I'm David Charneski. I reside at 306 Shillingford Road. Coming to see if everybody received the video of my house.
We did, I
I couldn't pull it up.
Thoughts?
I couldn't pull it up.
Why did I think it was fixed?
Because we were hoping and praying.
It was a very dramatic video, and I was shocked because I thought it was fit, I thought we solved it.
Yeah.
You got some work on yours, I can get to work on mine.
Yeah, I worked on it.
I got it for you.
Got an email from Stacy Colbreth. David Charneski, good morning. I'm receiving your email to the Stormwater Department about the flooding of this intersection and your property. Richland County has looked at these issues several times over the years since we have intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with the town of Irmo. Our IGA with the town is for the maintenance of the roadways and drainage that the town has accepted. After evaluating the flooding issue, it was determined that the improvements that you are requesting fall outside of our agreement with the town. Our Public Works Director at that time, David Hoops, wrote you a letter that the town and yourself outlining our stance on this issue. We determined that this would be a previous state falls outside of our responsibility per the IGA. I am searching for the copy of this letter but have not yet found it. As soon as I can find a copy, I will forward it to you. Then he says, I responded and said, well, whose responsibility is it? And he said, Mr. Charneski, it would be South Carolina Department of Transportation and the town of Irmo. The SCDOT would be responsible for the pipes under the roads, and the town of Irmo would be responsible for the pipes in the yards. I do believe that this information was relayed in the letter you received from the previous Public Works Director, David Hoops. I met with Don Blizzard at the SCDOT on site on Thursday, July 16th. He stated that the pipes under the roads were free of debris. We did notice a minor blockage in the ditch behind the houses on the opposite side of the road. I will put a one stop to get that removed.
He said the pipes.
All the water is coming from Charing Cross. I'm sorry, on the other side of Shillingford, which is engulfing my property and the people below me, as you can see.
We talked the other day, and we thought we had to fix with DOT, to what they did. The water that's coming at you now, is coming off the road.
No, the road is good.
The road is good.
Road's been fixed. You can see, if you look at the pictures that we looked at a long time ago, you can see ripples coming down the road. And if you noticed in the video, there was no ripples on the road. What they did is they took those ripples out because they restructured the drainage ditches next to the roads and rerouted them where they were supposed to go. But the ditch that's behind me, all the work that me and the kids did, is now falling back in just like we predicted. It's falling back in, and everything that it's dragging, because if you saw the video bringing everybody's trash to my property, because my gates are forced open because it has a wave pool in my backyard. And guys, this isn't just all the time. This is probably the most, maybe second to the most or the most, but it happens a lot. It's just not as extravagant as what this video says. It still piles up to my front door. It was amazing.
David, is the water coming?
Into the house?
Front yard or from the backyard?
It comes from the front and the back. It swallows my house. It swallows the house. It comes through my front door and through the back door.
From the right of the house?
Yeah.
From the right of the house, looking in the house from the street?
That entire neighborhood, to the right of his house, entire neighborhood drains to his house.
That's right. That's right.
My personal opinion,
It's in the backyard.
my personal opinion, the house shouldn't be there, and it should just be a ditch to save everybody else's house. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I don't know what to do.
I think the problem is we don't need,
Well, if you're looking at your house in that corner, and that side street is Chillicford, and then there's a house here, and then there's 3 or 4 homes up this way. Behind those homes is, I'm gonna call it a low, but a shallow area, all behind those homes, like a ditch. It's not deep, it's just a shallow, and that's where all that water comes, and then it gets to that white house, or the brick house, and it cuts through the bushes and just pours across the street into his place. I know they did something many years ago behind those homes
Behind them.
to make it drain from behind those homes, which I think whatever they did probably caused it to drain from behind those homes
Into my home.
into your home. I don't know if they cleaned out that low area or made that low area drain better or whatever they did. But they kind of directed it, and now it's going where they made it go. But when it gets to this last house, it can't go, so it cuts between 2 yards, 2 homes, and then right
The problem you've got is it's hurting not only David's house, it's hurting his neighbor's house. The house next to David is worse than David's.
Yeah, they're trying to sell that house, but it was kind of funny. That last storm just wiped that house out. I mean,
the one to your left there?
yeah, the one that's been under foreclosure for 3-4 years now. Yeah, it just wiped out that house. I mean, I'm sure the floors are buckled. It pulled all the soil. It pulled all their landscape out. It just, you know, I emailed, I forgot what his name was, and told him, I said, man, you better get somebody, check the inside of the house, check, all your landscape is gone. It was gone. I mean, it was a river between my house and their house. And I mean,
The old lady who lives across the street from you too, she's got the same problem you do.
oh yeah, I mean, the dirt line was, I mean, when the road, you saw my daughter walk through the water, but after it's all done, you could see the water level is about 18 inches up her garage door. And then the man that you saw the video, the man that is to the right of her, he was getting so flooded, he started backing out his vehicle. You saw the white vehicle come out the driveway, and he went to go save his vehicle. That's how much water he's getting. And his dirt line was 18 inches, and that was, you know, that was already across the street and downward. So, I mean, we had a lot of people out there just shaking their heads. And
David, has anybody from an engineering standpoint ever told you what needs to be? We tried to fix. We got DOT out there, they spent a fortune, they fixed the road. Okay, road's fixed. Have we had any engineer take a look and say, okay, this is what it will take to fix it?
yeah, I mean, they just want $5,000.
Yeah, you need an engineer.
Yeah, they want $5,000 to even to do a survey and everything like that.
Because problems start way up at the top of the hill, and they would have to make corrections as they work their way down. Because Griffin County engineer, you know, who before he retired, said that there's not a real problem with water getting out of his yard. It's just the volume that gets to his yard. I mean, it still drains out. It just takes, you know,
For instance,
but a whole bunch gets there.
For instance, do you remember me? I started the video, and by the time I walked all the way around and did the second video, The second video, the water started to retain. I said in the video, I said, now the water is starting to retain. So then, there you go. I mean, it comes in and it goes. But in the meantime, it's coming in my doors.
Makes a mess when it's there, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer. I mean, I talked to a couple.
Bob, you also think couldn't we retain our engineer to go out and tell us what those fixes?
Well, for that one, we had Dennis engineering, but I mean, I talked to Hybrid too later on after he sent me these just a couple weeks ago. And they said it would cost about $8,000 to do the study, but Dennis engineering was the one that was involved 18 months ago, the first time we met you out there. A year ago, 18 months, whenever. And they did a study, and it showed the water flow. The study didn't involve any how to fix it, it just showed where the water went.
Well, we gotta ask, if they've already done the study, it can't cost that much to ask Dan Dennis, what's it gonna take to fix it?
Yeah, but their study didn't start at the top of the hill. Their study was just showing the pipes around Mr. Shaughnessy's house. It said the big one under the road was fine, it's like a 48-inch, 60-inch pipe or something like that. And the ditch was deep enough to hold water. The study needed to start at the top of the hill to lessen the flow that comes to the bottom. If that can happen, I don't know.
And it would also basically have to go, I don't want to say to the river, but it would have to go downstream far enough to figure out, because you can't make water go somewhere it can't go.
Right.
If it ain't clear below, then it ain't gonna go below.
I thought we had some study that said that when it got down to around where Kirk Luther's house is, it goes back between the houses
It
there,
does, and it
and
goes-
that pipe was much smaller.
Right.
And that pipe needed
Yeah.
to be increased out to Broad River Road.
Trying to think that one, but I mean, that.
And I would imagine under the interstate, it might need to be bigger. I don't know. That's the part I don't know.
And until you get DOT.
But we
involved.
flood out there at Broad River Road too.
Broad River Road.
At Royal's house.
Man,
That's where it all goes.
it's like a river too, it's just bad on Broad River Road to the
And
house.
at the end of
Into a little,
Doncaster, there's not a cul-de-sac, but it's just a big round spot in the road. In fact, where the corner of our town park kind of comes back here with those 3 or 4 homes that are right there before you get to the church. Kind of like very, I got a whole bunch of pictures from them, and I can't get them off my thing. I don't know what's wrong. But they're whole places, all those 3 houses in that cul-de-sac.
so,
In that place, I've talked to Richmond County about cleaning out that open ditch all the way to the church and to Lake Murray.
has anybody checked to make sure nothing's obstructing the flow?
You know, that's what I'm saying, that funny, I mean, if that thing is not straight, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and filled up with trees and years of growth and not deep and not cleaned out, to me, that's something somebody has to do, dig it out and make it deep. But that conversation we had many years ago in the front porch room, and the ones after that, I could tell David and them, was like, there's no way.
When that rain that happened, the drain pipe right up my driveway, the water's got the crest to go to Irmo Drive, and it's because of sediment is in the ditch.
Mhm.
And, but DOT is cleaning it out. That's the reason. So I'm saying that some of us could be obstructing the pipes too as well. You don't think so?
Not on this,
Not right there.
They wanted-
Down the road.
They wanted to see it. They wanted to see the pipes in behind my house, if they can handle it. They wanted to see if the pipes underneath my house can handle it. They didn't believe me that they would crest. They didn't believe me, and in the video, there you got it. It sucked up a 48-inch pipe, no problem. I mean, there was nothing of the pipe left. How it was even crescent, going, I don't know. There was no room for any more water to take it, except in through my yard. And just think if I haven't made a dam between a moat, there you go, a dam between my property and the property that is up on top of my hill, all that water would have really, I would have been, I wouldn't have been able to stay there. There's no way. I mean, and now I'm at a point where, okay, so can I put a privacy fence in the front of my house? 4 foot?
I'm trying to remember, I know we had that issue
You have no
in
What's that gonna do?
Cooksworth the other
They
day.
have no
or
fence
The other
restrictions.
year about that.
Okay. So what we're looking at is putting a privacy fence all the way around my house.
Well, they put a privacy fence stop it. It's gonna water away.
Sure. God, man. If I wasn't, I'm glad I don't have money to go out because I couldn't go on vacation because if I wasn't home every time all these bad rains hit, for me to be able to build dams on my back porch so that the water don't come into my house or the front door, it cresses over the front door and I have to put basically like putting sandbags up against my door so it will go past. If I wasn't there, this would happen. If I wasn't there. So I happen to be there every time.
Did we not pay Dan to go tell us
He's talking about a privacy fence, it would have to be concrete.
I don't want to put a privacy fence in the front of my house. I really don't want to. I mean, it's going to cost me, $3,000 to put a privacy fence in front of my house that I don't even want to put in front of my house because I don't really think it'd look good. I mean, how many privacy fences are in front of the house?
What, I understand, I just don't know what to do.
You need an engineer to.
We need an engineer to tell us what to do. That's what we need to do.
But Richmond County, the reason they won't fix it is because they don't see a repair problem. It's not a repair problem. It is a rebuild issue. And there's no agreement with us about rebuilding a storm drain pipe, ditch, system, whatever you want to call it. They're not in that business. I mean, if there was a big broken pipe needed to be bigger, cleaned out, they would do that. But this is an issue that's above that because it will drain. It just doesn't drain very well, very fast, but it drains. That's the way they look at it. So any cost or anything that needs to be done, any kind of study, we have to pay out of pocket for it.
If you do your study and pay out of pocket, once you get your study done, if the engineer knows what he's talking about, you'll be able to gauge then who has the responsibility for it. Either DOT, the homeowner, the town, or the county have responsibility for some combination of those four. And you just need to get the engineer to tell you what's causing it, what it takes to fix it. That'll tell you who has the responsibility for the problem. But until you get that engineer report with this is what is causing it, this is what it'll take to fix it, you're just groping in the dark.
The dentist report doesn't address,
They just looked at a small little thing that really,
They look at the whole area, they just look in the yard, in that area right there.
and if, I remember some of the stuff, and I can't remember if it's David Hoops, or that Stacy Colbert guy, or one of the others. But I think one of them, and that was, and this rain was probably the same, I think this one was worse than the ones a couple years ago.
That was the one that, yeah.
One of the things that guy had mentioned, and this was kind of a, I'll call it off the cuff type remark, but if they were to dig out that creek from Old Friars Gate all the way to Broad River and straighten it out and get it deep, and do everything for all the neighborhoods it has to go through and everywhere else it goes, and everybody dumping into it, all that stuff. And you have a rain like that, and all that water gets to Broad River, and the creek's here, and Broad River's here, then it still ain't going in Broad River, because the
down that long run from the elementary school. Now there's parking lots there, you know, we've got one business right after another with, asphalt parking lots. And that water just takes up speed coming across the parking lot. But it floods right down that intersection. You can't drive a car through it. I think the chief would say that, because I know they go out and block that off until the water starts to recede.
As a suggestion, there's a man in town that he's a contractor, and he knows more about water flow than anybody I know, and it's John Eagle. And he works with counties, I'm not saying contract with them, but maybe have him look at it, he would know. I would believe it.
Just show them the video.
Do what?
Just show them the video.
True, yeah, but, that's, as a suggestion, instead of going to an engineering company.
Well, the engineers to do a report, I think they're gonna have to be out there when you have a big gully washing storm like that, and be able to walk down the hill to get an idea of where the bottlenecks are, where the water's picking up speed, where it's really coming from, and where it can go. I mean, they almost gotta have a big rain video. They can't do it by video, I don't think. I mean, a real engineer, I think, wanna walk it while it's raining and pouring and doing whatever it's doing. But I'm not an engineer, I'm just throwing it out there.
Has there been anybody to rate the storm, whether it was a 100-year flood or 50?
It's like I said, I'd be 400, 500 years old by now.
Well, you know, the way that works, you can
Yeah.
have a 100-year flood today, and
Yeah.
tomorrow have another 100-year flood.
Well, then why they call it a 100-year flood?
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I remember what you used to see, they told how many inches fell or whatever. It's
Yeah, there was no documentation of how much that was per hour.
Heard anything.
Harvey, I think we had 3 inches of rain in 30 minutes.
And a couple in an hour, yeah, or something.
3 inches, that would be 6 inches in an hour.
Yeah.
That would be our 4 inches an hour that we had the last time.
It rained hard, but it's gonna rain hard again.
Sure. Sure.
I know that property is not in a floodplain, but is there flood insurance?
I do have flood insurance.
And one thing, and I hate to say it like this, but if they went out to all those homes on Shillingford and diverted all those ditches in the back to everybody's house, so that everybody got flooded a little bit, then you wouldn't get flooded a lot. But I think when they took away the flooding a little bit from all those homes, they kind of corrected it. Probably not normal.
I can always buy my house and make a little park out of it.
There's a detention pond there, and
Yeah.
that's where the detention pond goes.
Or what you might wind up doing seriously is buying a house down there and turning it into a detention pond. That may be for the insurance, or it may be an underground detention, something like that. I don't know, I know engineer, he knows how to do it. He's
Or even
working hard.
back behind that, what is it, Main Street, in Sonda, if we could go in there and dig a big detention pond.
That's where it all comes right out.
That's a wetland back in there.
Go
That's
ahead.
a protected wetland.
That another wetland?
And they already redid the flood map on that years ago.
That would be another suggestion.
Mr. Mayor, where is this on the agenda? I can't seem to find it.
It's on I'm presenting myself to the council.
This says it's for, to be for agenda items only, though, according to my agenda.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Next item is unfinished business, item A. Third and final reading of ordinance 1509. Is there a motion for third reading? Third and final reading.
So moved.
And a second.
Second, I'm trying to find it, I'm trying to
This
find
is
it.
the one where we're taking out Lexington School District 5 5 and
Oh,
Richland School
okay.
District 6 and
Okay,
converting that to Richland.
well, then I don't need to find it, I know.
And then we're taking out the sentence that says, and those who have submitted a written proxy, and we're taking out the sentence that says, at the discretion, the duties of the secretary and or comptroller may be performed by the staff of the town. And then we're adding a sentence at the end of, and it says, and all council meetings that have agenda items pertaining to infrastructure. I think that has something to do with that November meeting where the orchestra chairman has to be at that November meeting. And then he comes to the next meeting in December, comes to the first meeting in December. And then we add it to that, and all council meetings that have agenda items pertaining to the orchestra. So that's that. Any discussion? And this is third and final reading. All in favor then of third and final reading of 1509, do so with show of hands. And the next one is third and final reading. Is there a motion for third and final reading for ordinance 1510?
So moved.
Second.
And this is the one where we're adding, I have to go back and look at that, but to the first paragraph, I think we're just adding that phrase to the first paragraph. And then we're adding a sentence and being,
Read it.
well, that's it, that's all it says, is to the first paragraph. And then we're adding section 265. I think I've got that thing somewhere.
You want me to read it, Hardy? I have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are we adding, what's the first
Section
part of it?
Well, the first one is section 2-265, add A to the first paragraph. And then
Oh, okay, we're adding the A,
A,
just adding number A,
And then
okay.
section 2-265, adding to B, the orchestra chairman will be responsible for ensuring that the orchestra commission stays within the approved budgeted recommended expenses. The chairman shall inform and submit changes for expenditures to the town administrator for approval if revenue does not meet pre-planned projections to keep the budget balanced.
Yeah, we're taking that paragraph that's already in there and just putting an A beside it, so we know that's paragraph, and then we're
So we
adding
can
paragraph
add
B.
B.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor then, third and final reading, all in favor, 1510, do so show of hands. All opposed? And next. Oh, this is the annexation. Third and final reading of ordinance 1511, annex the Lexington County TMS 1800-01-04 and 060, and Richland County TMS 3209 on 162, which is out there on Irmo Drive.
This is the Trussell property.
Yeah, trust property. Is there a motion for?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, upon thinking about this a little more than I did initially, and I was really swayed by the Waterford residents and their complaints about their roads. I'm about to agree with you. Yeah. Why are we annexing it? Nothing else on Irmo Drive is gonna come in. We asked Sheffield years ago. None of those other neighborhoods have the interest in, this is, why are we doing this?
They haven't come in yet.
I don't think Sheffield's gonna come in. I don't think any of them are. I think they like being unincorporated.
Well, I think they like being unincorporated until something comes up in their backyard.
That's true.
And then they want somebody to protect them, and that's the only benefit here
I
is,
agree.
again, like we say all the time, if you want to control it, you need to own it, or in our case, it needs to be in the town. We can't do anything about it. We're being told right now that their intention is to build houses like
Rose Oak.
Rose Oaks, which are very nice and will be a very respectable neighborhood that backs up to several streets in New Friarsgate. But if it's not in the town, they can change that desire all they want. They could put patio homes in there, or put apartment complexes in there, or anything. And I think that the folks in Waterford were concerned that they're driving through their neighborhood. I did ride that. I didn't see any damage that was done to the property there. But I did go into New Friarsgate and along Chapel White and all, and I can see where those folks, some of them say they were told that nothing would ever go back there, but you know how that is. But what are they going to look at? They've asked for help in some kind of protection, and the only protection we can offer is either to buy the property outright or annex it into the town, where then it has to fall under the town's guidelines for development.
You think we can help their drainage?
Help their drainage?
Chapel White is. Yeah.
No, I don't think it'll help Chapel White's drainage. That was dealt with many years ago when Corps of Engineers came in and decided how that Rawls Creek was going to run. And it was kind of the same thing that Mr. Charneski's dealing with. We corrected, according to the Corps of Engineers, Rawls Creek as it comes and makes a turn, but then all of a sudden we alleviated the problem of that water running right up to those folks' back door and kept it within the crest of the ditch, for the lack of a better term. We straightened out a couple curves. What did that do? That sped up the water. Where did the water go? It went to Coatesworth. And the problem happened down there. And we wound up spending almost $500,000 there building a retention pond and alleviating some of that problem.
I remember. I know that Chapel White still has problems. And they may never be solved. If we can help and not make it any worse by annexing this land, then that's the only reason I can see why we ought to do it.
Well, and one thing I would add to that too is, you're either, as they say, growing or dying. There's no in between. There's no status quo. Municipalities have to grow too. If you look at our census over the past 15 years, we're basically at 13,000 like we've been for a while. And if you're, I'd say Walmarts and places like that, a lot of these other chains, they look at that stuff and they look at what were they 10 years ago, what were they 20 years ago, and if your status is stagnant, they go somewhere else where more people can be it because that's what they want. So I think when you're annexing residential property like that, that's one of the things I consider too is, if I look at this map here, we're out there where that, what's that place called Woodley, and then the subdivision behind there.
Yeah.
And then they're getting ready to get Garden Brook, that one we were asking about, and they're getting ready to add on to that. There's a lot of property around that, what is it, Publix up there?
Publix, yeah.
That you can see right there is white. It's not yellow, it's not blue. We're not annexing it, it's not in the town. But I could see a lot of that property coming in, maps, people, families on that. I doubt we'll ever get those neighborhoods. Trying to get 75% of the people to sign something, it just ain't gonna happen. When you can get it when it's undeveloped, and you're talking to one person, you can. Once they start selling lots, you're never gonna annex. We're never gonna annex those other neighborhoods because there's too many people in there that's gotta make a decision. If we can annex the undeveloped land when you're talking to one person, I think you got a better chance. And I think you have to look at that, if we need more people in our towns.
Well, those are two good reasons.
And I think, that's part of the growth pattern is not just annexing property, but annexing undeveloped where businesses can move into residential community. Same thing we were talking about the other property. I can see annexing it in order to touch property, but we already touch property. So I'm looking at that from a different perspective. effective, but, and I just don't agree with the female part, but that's just me, that's one way on that. But this, to me, is, you know, if I could annex all that property over there before somebody built on it, I'd try to do all that. If I could go out here on Farming Creek and annex all that other property before somebody buys it, subdivides it, I'd try to get it. Because once it gets subdivided, that new subdivision out there on, Broad River Road, right down past, Coons, greenhouse, mother built, and they put there, and I can't think of it. But I talked to them probably 2 weeks after they sold their first lot. So now you have multiple owners, and you continue just a disaster to try to bring that in. If we'd got to them before, I think we'd have a good chance of bringing it in.
And we had the same situation on Bickley Road. You know, and why were we asked to annex there? To try to protect some of those folks from something that
Could hurt them.
could hurt them, and that's exactly what we were trying to do. That's what I understand we're trying to do here, and it's not because something we searched out. It's the developer has come to us and said, this is what I want to do, and I know that you have controls and you're easier to work with than the county, and the county just says, go do what you want to do. And he's trying to prove that they're going to build something respectable.
So something just called Wexford, is that this?
Waterford?
It's Waterford.
We asked the people of Waterford to annex into the town limits before, and he said no. Emphatically, he said no. Now there's some development going on back there, they come to us and say, oh, save us, you know, we want you to protect us, we want you to, you know, look out for our interests. But when we asked them to annex into the town limits, they said no, we didn't want to be bothered with Irmo. Does it make sense for the town of Irmo to annex, you know, to get 150 houses, 150 residents? You know, we're gonna have to service them, provide police protection, provide garbage protection, garbage service. Those are things gonna cost money. You know, is it worth the new 150 potentially new residents and expenses that incur for our budget to do that when we don't have any way of recapping that revenue? And that's where I'm at. We can fix our laws that allows us to impose a millage rate of some sort. Because we can't do it now because we don't have one. We can fix that law that allows us to put a millage rate in for all the new buildings or new residents coming in, then I'd be more than happy to, you know, take this residence and take any other residents who want to come in. But until we fix that law, this is the way we can do it, because it's gonna cost us money. And right now, what was our surplus last year? About $80,000.
Yeah.
A little under 300,000.
Yeah, I think it's like 270 or something.
Okay, and the year before that was almost double, wasn't it? So, I mean, you know, obviously, our surplus is going down and down, getting closer to the even more mark, which means that we're spending more money on,
Yeah, like drunken sailors.
Like drunken sailor.
yeah, so why spend, bringing 150 houses and 150 new garbage contracts, and you talk about garbage service now, you probably have a field day with those folks, but that's
Well,
just my 2 cents.
Some of what you're saying, I would, it's not a bunch of money, but for every resident that's in, you do get the franchise fee. So there's a little bit, it's not a whole lot. It's not gonna fill up the coffers or nothing like that. As far as the garbage, that's a wash. They pay, we charge, they pay, so it works out. That doesn't really cost anything. And if the state house could be trusted to fully fund local government fund, you could get in that money. We're getting 80% of it, or whatever we're getting. I don't know if it's 80% or 70% or 60%, but it's not fully funded. But still, there is that revenue from that. Plus, the other thing I think that, in my mind too, is you got 150 homes, and if you got 2 people per home, whatever the equation is, 300 people. That's not a some of the people that may be looking at buying some of these tracts of land over here, or building another business in Irmo, or coming into that shopping center there, they realize now there's 150 more homes, 300 more people. They may end up renting that space instead of going, say, Valentine Shaker or wherever else, or maybe up the road into unincorporated Lexington County.
It's gonna be added to our police department though.
Yeah, it is. But you got, I don't know, 150 homes, you probably got one or two streets that go in there, probably not much bigger than that. What it is, Waterford, you ride in there and you ride out and you respond and all that kind of stuff. I don't see it being that type of training, but that's just.
We're only gonna sell the homes to peace-loving people.
But I think part of our, you know,
Like that guy who shot.
is, you know, part of the growth pattern is we do need to, you know, bring in the residents, just like when we annexed a lot of property over on Broad River Road. A lot of it was undeveloped land, and I went after that commercial, just to get the revenue in first. We got the revenue in that area, and hopefully some of those tracks, like up on the corner of Coon Road and all that.
Well, you need to get to work on that.
Well, someday, somebody will subdivide that in build, probably commercial, residential,
Maybe
a little
we're
bit
good
of both.
at that. You need to
But,
get back into that.
I think, you know, this is part of that pie too. And that side of Irmo Drive, Paul's side of Irmo Drive, I'd love to see that whole thing. They didn't fill in these little white caps, but, you know, you kind of have to take what you can take when you can take it and get it. And these neighborhoods, I know, that other neighborhood there right past Paul, Crescent, I think it's called Crescent, yeah.
Yeah, on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And I tried to talk to them, but the same thing. He had already pre-sold 3, 4 lots by the time. It's kind of like, well, I gotta get them people to agree, and then I gotta do this, and then I gotta do that, and he didn't want half the town in or half the neighborhood in and half of it out.
You know, if it, because it touches Waterford, it's not my issue. My issue is because it touches New Friars
Yeah,
Gate.
I was.
And if anybody in the town needs support,
It's New Friars.
New Friars Gate
I
needs
agree.
that support.
Okay, you got me, let's vote.
We're ready, any more discussion? Let me find it again. All in favor of third and final reading, ordinance 1511?
1511, item C.
To annex that property, do so with show of hands. All opposed?
You understand.
And next item is second reading of ordinance 1512. This is another orchestra where we are, well, let me get a motion first and second.
So moved.
Second.
And this is where we're deleting the sentence that says initial funds for the commission shall be placed in a separate checking account from profits received from the Fire Orchestra Festival not to exceed $2,500. And we're adding the sentence, the town's treasurer will ensure that the orchestra commission has provided the proper documentation required for the distribution of funds. The documentation will include verification of the orchestra administrator that the proper account is identified and that sufficient funds are available prior to being submitted to the town administrator for final approval.
Artie, excuse me. Those changes were made that you're reading that need a motion to amend.
Okay, so
the
we,
original.
all right, so we just
I had
need
a
a
note
motion.
from Bob to make sure we made that
Okay, so we need,
amendment.
we need a amendment to add that.
I'm
The
make a
bold,
motion that we amend.
the bold letters.
Yeah.
Kim?
Yes.
The bold.
Okay, got it. Oh, I second your motion.
Okay. So we need to vote on the amendments first.
I can't believe we forgot such a thing.
That's why she gets paid the big bucks.
I know, that's it. See, her hair is white, worrying about these things.
We caused that.
All right, so we're amending to add that stuff I just, that last part I just read there, it's in the yellow or bold.
It's involved.
Harvey's made a motion, Kathy seconded. Any discussion about that amendment? All in favor of that amendment, do so with show of hands. All opposed? Now we're back to the 1512 amendment.
As amended.
Any discussion on that? All in favor then of second reading of ordinance 1512 as amended? Do so social things. All opposed? And did you vote for it? Next item is new business, approval to contract with Crescent Construction in the amount of $9,950 for roof repair. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion?
no, it leaks.
I have, the next item, let's see, the next item, item B, is approval to contract with Hammer Construction in the amount of $48,300 to construct a new public works building. That would also have a green metal roof. My suggestion is just for consideration, would anybody be willing to consider holding on the approval to Crescent until we look at awarding, if we're going to award for the new public works building, being they're going to be dealing with a roof to match this building, if they would be more willing to entertain a better price in repairing this building, being their own site, building the new one.
Haven't we already bid that?
We have bid it out, but we haven't accepted the bids yet.
Oh, okay,
That's item B.
okay.
So I reckon I'm asking, could we take item B out of sequence? Let's see how that one flies. And then it may be that we can get a better price.
If I may, I don't think we'll
Okay.
get a better price on that, because if you look at the other prices that came in,
Okay.
20,000 and 24,000.
Yeah, that was in your administrative brief.
Correct, for,
Okay.
for the bids on that. And Crescent gave us a good price because they've already mobilized and they're working on the Chamber of Commerce. That's why they were so low, no mobilization cost in here.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's mostly just material, and they were real low on the labor.
Okay.
We might get a better price, but I don't think so.
Okay. I'm good.
I'm just.
I know you've done all the homework on it. I was just merely raising the issue for consideration.
I honestly don't think we would get much better than that before.
Okay?
It does look like a reasonable fee.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Are they just taking off those,
Taking the 5 dormers off.
and putting new green metal right
Where the holes were.
from the bottom to the top?
Correct.
Not just where the holes are, but that hole will be a second.
Right, that's what
Top
you're
and
gonna,
bottom.
again, you'll have a little color difference.
Right.
You know, we agreed that
In
was
a year or
okay.
two, you'll never notice.
Probably, that's right.
Does anybody need any green metal dormers?
You might need some for a dog roof, dog house roof, and maybe a cat house roof too now. Any other discussion? All in favor then of the approval for $9,950 for Crescent Construction for roof repairs, please show show of hands. All opposed?
Gary, are you opposed or for?
The next item is the approval to contract with Hammer Construction in the amount of $48,300 to construct a new public works building. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And, second,
Second,
any discussion?
I'll just say this is a far cry from what we were looking at to
Yeah.
start with, but this is
300.
exactly what,
$1,000?
Yeah.
Where we built that big
300,000.
Yeah, but is we gonna have air conditioning?
where it's needed, but not in the,
This is a big garage, no heat, no air, but I mean, it's insulated, it'll have electricity, and you'll probably put a window.
Window?
Put a window.
Wow.
Well, after today, I'm concerned that there would be some little place in that building that has an air conditioner.
But you still got his other 2 buildings, you'll still have his break area, the one building over there, you'll still have his office over here.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Whit?
Yeah.
I know, I'm tearing down nothing else, but
No, we just needed the extra room.
Now, this is just the building, not the wall or not anything else.
That's correct, we'll have to look at the wall across
Well,
here
we're-
next year.
Talking like that, the wall, did that guy come in to us? Did he come in here and meet with us, or he just
No, the artist, the guy.
He just talked to me, I can't remember if he came up here or not, I think he wants to come to your meetings. There is a, artist, public artist, I guess you call it. He's been in my shop a couple of times, he lives over here in Friars Gate. He was working with Irmo art students, and I think he still is. He is actually hired now by H.E. Corley Elementary School. So, and he lives over there, he works over there, but he still works with Irmo High School art people. And they're looking for projects to do, public, what they call public art. He went a while back and talked to a bunch of people that had sides of buildings that you might be able to do something on somewhere in town. But I don't think he got whatever. I had mentioned to him one time about this wall, and I had no clue really behind the building that they get ready to build.
Okay.
And we could put up like a pretty brick wall, or we could put up a stucco wall or a concrete, whatever.
Stone block kind of thing.
And then let him do whatever's thing on. If we think that's something that we might be interested in, he wants to come at some point and give us a PowerPoint presentation of what he's doing in other places. He's done stuff in Columbia downtown. He's trained, whatever you call it, with some guy up in Detroit that's really whatever. And he wants us, he invited us to come to Irmo art class, whatever, and see what they're doing. They're doing something for Pamela Parkway right now. They make the panels there, and then they go mount where they go mount. But he told us we could come to the school whenever they're in session working on this thing. And then he could show us better what they look like. There was a tiles of some sort, I don't understand. But, and he said he'd come give us a presentation. If y'all are interested,
I'm 100%.
I would like to get him to come here and explain it, show us, and then whoever wants to, they can call and set up a time to go tour whenever they want to, or he can find us all down at one time. But he told us it'd be good to come look and see what we're talking about. I just thought that might be, and I don't know if they go on the wall, or you put them on a panel and then you hang them on the wall, you know, like art. But I'll let him know if that's something. Because I told him I didn't know when the wall was going to be built, but it would be a good thing and maybe somehow.
Well, back to this Hammer Construction, they have a reputation, they have built projects nearby.
Yes. Yeah,
They are a resident business in town.
They are not.
They are not.
Crescent does, yeah, Crescent.
Crescent is, but not Hammer.
Okay.
We're talking about Hammer now. And,
But what is Hammer has built?
sitting
Some
here.
old buildings?
Well, they specialize in regular buildings, but they have built, public works buildings, more elaborate ones and more work, they put up whole buildings before. And, they are out of, these are all local, all three of them are local, but Hammer is in Columbia, Hampton Creek. I don't know where it is. Most of the work they've done and everything has been out towards Shop Road and Bluff Road downtown. And they just finished the project out in Lightwood that he sent me pictures on. It's a big public works building. However, it was, 25,000 square feet, so it wasn't the same thing we're getting.
Another question I just have to go, with the Crescent construction being in town, is that 1% or 2% or whatever that is?
The way our ordinance is written, that would allow them a 2% preference when accepting a bid. They don't get a 2% off. I mean, their bid is what we pay. But if they were really, really close, then even in town bids, we'd be able to knock off another 2% and then look at bids. That's not an issue here.
So you,
Crescent's
I was
already-
with you and then I'm lost again.
Crescent was already low, so the preference means nothing. The preference is only in our ordinance if there are two bidders that are tied or real close, and you want to give a benefit to the one that's an in-town business.
They have to be tighter.
But it's only for bidding. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor then of awarding the contract to Hammer Construction in the amount of $48,300 for public works field to do so with show of hands. All opposed? Next is the approval to transfer $4,350 from the ABC permit fund to the Overstruck fund. Is there approval? Motion for approval.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is what we usually do, isn't it?
Yeah, this, I think we had 6,000 something.
Earlier in the last,
Well, we had 6,400 maybe budgeted, but so far we only got 43, 50 in this.
So,
That's what we have right now for that, in that fund.
But I mean, as far as that budget thing, I think we had maybe 6,000 something.
I don't recall.
Budgeted for that line item.
I don't recall, I think I might have been just 5,000 projected revenue.
Was that, we were thinking some more is coming in, or is it just, yeah?
normally it's
We
about
get it all
every
the time.
3 to 6 months.
Right.
It depends on what kind of permits they've gotten for alcohol.
We
yeah,
get it.
maybe we
Back
got
in
drinking.
state.
Must be a lot of beer up there. Made it go up. Any more discussion?
This, didn't we do this earlier this year?
Yeah, we did it.
Prior to the last one.
Yeah, that was probably for last year's,
Yeah, it probably was for last year, but
last year's budget.
we did it after Overstruck because it was one of those issues.
How much was it?
Said they were about broke, and that added a little bit to them.
It was like 12,000, wasn't it, last time we
Yeah,
transferred?
we had a pretty good chunk last year.
Yeah, that was a pretty good amount.
12, 16, somewhere in that ballpark.
So why is it only 4,000 now?
Comes in.
That's all we got right now.
It's just per quarter.
And it's based on how many licenses they issue, the state liquor licenses in this area. So, like Captain said, if people aren't drinking and they're not getting licenses, they're not getting as much money.
You gotta drink more, y'all. You gotta do something for your town.
Well, is that for new business doesn't have to get one, or is that like for mules and everything? That's all.
That's
Somebody
everything.
buys a new permit, renews a permit, whatever.
All liquor licenses. Yes.
Any more discussion? All in favor then to approve the 4,350 from the ABC fund to the Overstruck fund, so we show of hands. All opposed? Next item is an approval to purchase 4 2014 police interceptors from Love Chevrolet in the amount of $125,500. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. I'll second.
And any discussion?
Chief, is this what you want?
Yes, sir.
You don't want to challenge them? I'm just asking if I've seen them.
All right, chief.
You'd rather have the Chevrolet?
Well, it says $6,000. The cars are more economical. We don't really need V8s for in town. The front-wheel drive will also give us more mobility in the snow.
Okay.
Our one snow in a year.
Yes.
The car size isn't that much difference, and the savings will allow me to put a new camera in each car that we desperately need. Get
Okay.
away from the VHS camera system.
Okay, I'm with you.
Chief, I had an opportunity to ride with code enforcement in the, I guess, 2014
The Caprice.
Caprice, is that what it was? Those things, there's no room for a passenger in that front seat. There's no room at all. So I'm saying if you had a fully dressed officer and a driver, there's no way they could both fit in the front seat of that car.
Well, the computer makes it difficult, but
Right.
it is difficult. We typically don't have a lot of passengers in the front seat.
Well, I mean, I know you're not running a taxi, but at the same time, you are running a taxi because you got people in the back that's even smaller. I mean, to me, maybe it's just, to me,
Well, they
it's-
don't make the Crown Vics anymore, and all the police cars now are getting smaller. Dodge Charger's smaller, the Impala Force, the Ford Interceptor, they make it small. They're all about the same size now.
what about an SUV?
SUVs are a lot more expensive.
Crossover?
I mean, you're getting close to $30,000 before you put lights in them. You have to have 2 cages, front and rear. a lot more expense. Plus the gas consumption is a lot higher too.
That's true.
Well, we can fix the gas consumption, because I saw this little car down at the municipal association. It was a very nice electric car, and I'm sure they make us a really nice deal on those cars.
Tesla,
And
I don't know if they're gonna make a deal on that car.
Gary, they're not available.
Why not?
You gotta get on a list and wait a few years.
I guarantee you, they feel like Irmo wants to buy 10 of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know they would. They'd jump up, yeah.
We're on front board.
Chief, I assume that we're doing the same thing that we've done in the past. We'll be getting a new cage, new lights,
Correct,
everything except radios.
correct.
Correct. Okay.
Well, and radars, still.
You still move those.
Correct.
Did y'all look at the Dodge, I guess, the Chargers or something? I mean, it is tiny in the front seat of that car. Kathy, you couldn't fit that front seat.
I bet that Dodge Charger ain't no bigger.
With the seat
Not
go
much
back?
bigger.
No, that's the problem. I mean, all the way back, and it was tight.
I think,
With that little computer they got there for
that
the.
Chief Chapin told me their stays in the garage,
They're,
their Chargers.
oh, they're
Stays in the garage.
And I talked to City of Columbia and Lexington County Sheriff's Department, and they love them. They've been getting 120 to 140,000 miles when they're in Dallas.
On the Impala, but not on the Charger. Okay.
Chargers do stay in the shot quite a bit.
okay.
That's fine. Listen, I'm just,
I'm asking.
I'm looking for something that
Is
two
this-
officers can sit in the front seat.
No, an officer and you.
An officer and us can sit in the front seat. I mean, it really is.
I like y'all running around in the back.
I don't believe the Dodge Charger has much more room than the Caprice Road.
I've been in some of them, and they're,
Is there any model Caprice that they're building for, I guess, strictly for police?
Ford may bring back that Crown Vic.
They are.
These interceptors.
Yeah,
These are the
definitely are.
interceptors.
Ford talking about bringing it back. but
What about
it'll
that
take a couple years.
Ford, was that Ford Fusion or something?
That's smaller than the Taurus.
Smaller than Taurus.
The Taurus,
Taurus, that's what it was, Taurus.
the Taurus is about the same as the Impala. Now, is that the Impala or the Capri?
Impala.
The Caprice and the Impala were basically the same, weren't they?
Yeah, the same size.
Okay, let's vote on the chief's cars here.
And why you get 2014 and not 15?
Chief,
Okay.
brand new.
Any more? Any more discussion? All in favor of the four, police interceptors for Blood Chevrolet in the amount of $125,500, do so with show of hands. All opposed? Next is the approval of a memorandum of understanding between the town of Irmo and Lexington County Sheriff's Department to hire off-duty police officers for the orchestra festival. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
And looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the next things we're going to be discussing for the public basically has to do with what we do every time there's a new chief or a new sheriff or somebody. Everybody has to re-sign all these things. So that's what we're doing now, is signing all this new stuff. Is there a motion? I mean, I've got a motion. Is there any more discussion?
There's a motion.
This is our normal thing because you're the new chief now. Okay.
We have new sheriff.
That's right.
Yeah, we
yeah.
don't care.
That's true. We did him, I think.
All right. All in favor? Show of hands.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for Bob, and I thought that's right. no, no, no. So all opposed, can you put all opposed? The next one is item F, an approval of a mutual aid agreement between the town and Richland County Sheriff's Department. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
And this is the same thing, just we're doing that same agreement. Any discussion? All in favor? Next is approval of multi-jurisdictional drug enforcement unit agreement between the town and Lexington County. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? One thing I wanted to ask,
promoted to captain, who's doing sergeant code enforcement work down the chain.
Okay.
So we're in the process.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor then of the multi-jurisdictional drug enforcement unit agreement, please show your hand. Next item is an approval of a service agreement between the town and Lexington County Communications for dispatch and 911. Is there approval for that?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Just so show of hand. And next is a approval of a mutual aid agreement between the town and Lexington County Sheriff's Department. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, you're in favor. Next item is the appointment to the planning commission. And, that Bob tell us you got 2 vacancies or 1?
There's two, well, there's gonna be 1 vacancy, but there's 2 whose terms have expired. That is Michael Rowe and Michael Harris. Mike Rowe is asked to be reinstated for another term, and Mike Harris is asked to be let off. He doesn't want to be reappointed.
Do we have to come up with somebody tonight, or can we?
No, I mean, we advertise, we haven't had any
I've asked
responses.
a couple of people, but they have not given me a final answer. Now, if y'all have somebody, that's fine.
But right now we've got 1, Michael Rowe.
To reappoint.
Okay.
So, if anybody want to submit?
I would make a motion that we reappoint Michael Rowe.
Yeah.
He served as our chairman there for
Yeah,
some time and is very, very efficient.
very efficient, a good man.
We don't need seconds on appointments, do we?
I don't think so.
No, just
Okay. Any other names submitted?
No, but I might have one in 2 weeks.
there'll still be the vacancy.
Still be a vacancy of it.
Okay.
So, all in favor then of Michael Rowe to be whatever you call it? Reappointed, do so with show of hands. All opposed?
You opposed there?
We have no other appointments, so we still got 1 vacancy, and if you know somebody, or if anybody knows somebody. And I guess if nobody shows up, we can still operate, and then 6 months from now, somebody,
That's correct.
Yeah.
we can fill it whenever somebody shows up.
Got enough for the forum.
Next item then is an appointment to the ZBA Board of Adjustments, and I'll let you fill us in on that same stuff.
We have 2 open seats whose terms have expired. That's Tom McLemore and Mike Swords. They have both asked to be reappointed.
Okay.
And we've advertised, and we've got no response from anybody else wanting to be on the ZBA.
So it's Tom McLemore and Mike Swords.
Mike Swords.
Does anyone want to?
I would make a recommendation to reappoint Tom McLemore and Mike Swartz to the ZBA.
I would second his recommendation.
They both served and served well.
Yeah.
Any other appointments? All in favor then of reappointing Tom McLemore and Mike Swords to the ZBA, do so with show of hands. And next item is a consideration of letter of credit in the amount of $98,103.13 for Garden Brook subdivision, Phase 2A, Green. And I'll let Bob kind of let us know that.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Garden Brook is located behind Woodley's off of Highway 6. And they've already completed a whole, 3 or 4 streets back there in the back. And now they want to start the next subdivision up front. And this money right here is for their, it's a letter of credit. And it's to ensure that we have infrastructure monies available if they decide to go leave town, revoke, bankruptcy, and not able to complete the project, the sidewalks and the roads.
Do we have do we need a motion in a second? you a motion?
To accept their letter of credit, and then we'll be able to start issuing, building permits.
So is there a motion from somebody to?
I make a motion that we, consider the letter of credit in the amount of $98,103.13 for the Garden Brook subdivision Phase 2A, and also make a note that this is 125% of what the engineers have said it would cost to complete this. So we're well protected.
It expired July 7th, 2016.
July 7th,
16.
And is there a second? I don't think we need
Second.
one, but I'm just- One thing I want to ask while we're talking about this is kind of the same thing, but so I can get my thinking correct. I know, what is the difference in the letter of credit and the bond? Or is there a difference, or is that just based?
No, letter of credit comes from a bank, or a financial institute guaranteeing the amount of money.
Okay,
As
so he
opposed
just
to
kind of like
cash.
put the money in the bank, and you're saying, we got the money,
We got the money,
blah, blah, blah.
we'll back it up.
Yeah.
Cash bonds is what we're gonna get from John Moore, Brothers, so gone around with him 3 or 4 times, and he always gives us a cash bond, brings a check.
That'll be the net on the next agenda.
They try to avoid going to a bondsman because that's paid for an insurance policy, basically.
Well, the detention pond place, behind,
Ridgemont.
yeah, behind Ridgemont, you know, where we got
Oh,
the detention and all that kind
Yes,
of stuff.
yes.
Where that person had a letter of credit.
That was a bond
That was a bond.
that expired.
It expired, okay. So do we have some way of knowing not to let these things expire before
Yeah,
somebody goes belly up with them?
I was here last time, we kept that one and it expired.
We can't wrap that around your neck still, or whatever.
No.
But do we get like something from the bank that says, hey,
Yes, they,
or do they just always get good on that thing?
they provide us a letter from the bank, which is,
I have a letter right now.
But I mean, do we get the letter from them when it's getting ready to expire? saying,
Probably
hey,
not, it would be up to us to make sure
Yeah, it's
that
gotta
all
make
work
sure.
is done.
it's got an expiration date on
You
it.
gotta write this down somewhere.
Better believe it.
Okay.
But you understand the system now, that's what happens with Ridgemont, where we got kind of taken
So
a
it
ride on
got
that.
expired before.
We've got nothing, right.
And do we know what the status is on that? We're still waiting on the county to let us know something?
No, the county let us know, they gave us a list of what needs to be done, and we passed it on to Dan Cruz, who has been talking to the owner, which in this case is Harold Hickler. And
Well, so he is in contact with them.
Dan says he is, and Dan says he's still working on the as-built, which is a completion engineer plan. We haven't got them, and I haven't heard anything from the owner, and I don't know if they're planning on doing anything. He's just working on the as-bills. But we have a list from Lexington County telling what needs to be fixed. I mean, a lot of road repairs, curb repairs, cut some sidewalks up in the places. About $50,000 worth of work I think. Were you up there with, did you get a price from them when they were doing their estimate?
The engineers are gonna get back with us on the price. I think it was somewhere in the $50,000.
Yeah, I got hybrid, it was an estimate around $50,000.
But either
And we have to pay.
Hickler would have to pay for it, or we would have to pay for it, or we could pay for some, and then get the county to pay for some.
Or see if we get county, you know.
All right, any more discussion on this letter of credit in the amount of $98,103.13 for Garden Brook? All in favor, so show of hands. And next item is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who wants to address council on any issue, regardless if it's on the agenda or not, may do so. All we ask is you give us your name and address for the record. Anyone who wants to?
Hi, my name is Jill Nowak, and I live at 112 Maidstone Court in Friarscape. And I wanted to talk about the burnt down house on Wedgewood. Again. As far as I know, Mr. Moore had the name of the people that that house was sold to. The LLC supposedly sold it, but it's a somebody that flips houses, and I wondered, like, how do you consider abandoned houses? Like, is that an abandoned house if they're not working on it, and what happens with abandoned houses or whatever, because they're not doing anything, and the pool's still full, and you still can't go in the yard, and I mean, nothing's changed in whatever 2.5 years or however long this has been going on.
Sold, it was,
That's what the lady that Mr. Moore gave me a name of a lady to call, and it was a lady from that LLC. I forgot the name of it, but she said that they sold it in February, but I know that the code enforcement officer has tried to talk with the Register of Deeds, and so have I. They still have it as being owned by the mortgage company, yes, sir. But what they did was they came in, they started work on the house, which how they think they can rebuild that, I have no idea, because it's so far burned down. But they reinforced the walls, put a new roof on it, and tore the liner out of the pool and drained it, and then they were gone. And they've not been there for at least, I'd say 2.5 months, 2 months, 2.5 months, and it's right back. It's the same thing. It's still a burned down eyesore of a house with a swamp in the pool, and nobody can go outside because it's nothing but a cesspool, breeding ground for, there's frogs and all kinds of stuff, and mosquitoes. You can watch the water. The water just ripples with nastiness.
Do you still have, if I may ask, do you still have a lawsuit?
No, I believe that was dropped.
It wasn't dropped. We basically have received a commitment from them that they were going to repair the house immediately, fully good order, and we could tear the house down or fix the house in a year. And I had given you their names last time we spoke.
Well, the only name that I had was the name of the
lady.
Yeah, but she said that she didn't have anything to do with it anymore because they sold it.
Well, yeah, but they bought it, and she had committed to do all this work. And the last I heard, the pool had been cleaned up and the work had started. And then about a week ago, I learned that things are no longer good, that she's gone now, and God only knows where they are. I didn't realize there was any problem until about a week ago.
Well, I don't know if we're talking about the same lady though, because when you gave me that phone number, that was, what was it called? High yield something? Harbor High Yield, yeah. Harbor High Yield. That was who answered, the lady from Harbor High Yield. And she said that they had sold the property and that she no longer had anything to do with it.
The one I was talking about is the lady who actually bought it.
Yeah, I didn't ever have her number.
Yeah, you told me that you had spoken with her.
No, you told me that you had spoken with her.
She told me that. All right, well, she indicated that you were happy, and I was happy that you were happy.
When I went over there, as soon as they started work, I jumped the fence. I took water to them all and was clapping for them and everything.
I've got her name in my
Okay.
in my office,
Mm-hmm.
and if you will just call this week's bad for me, and next week's gonna be tough too. But Diana Tammy will get you a time. If you will come see me, we'll go out for a weekend. I'll do anything I can to help you.
What about what happens to an abandoned house?
It sits there.
That's it. There's no ordinance.
But it's unsightly, unsanitary. The chief is going to have a hearing this today, get with me, and we're gonna cite them. We're gonna cite them for unsightly, unsanitary. We can do that.
Well, the code enforcement officer said that the problem was he couldn't find it, but if you have the
I
name,
got
then,
it.
okay.
But nobody told me anything for about a week ago. And I've been basically out of town last week for the business association, that's where I work. I've got it all in my office.
Okay,
You just come see me.
okay.
We'll get the code enforcement officer the name, who it is, where they are, and who's going to do it.
Okay.
Now, one thing I want to ask for your, I'm a little confused too, because I'm sitting here looking at this lawsuit thing against Harbor IU. But what you're saying, they're not the ones that own it anymore. But is this lawsuit still pending, or is it?
That lawsuit was resolved by them basically paying a small fee and transferring the property to people who swore and have a written commitment they will fix the property within a year. Now, I've got those people's names. So that lawsuit, Harbor IU is basically out of it. It is with the people who bought it. But they've made the commitment that they'll take care of the property. I've got their name, address, and phone number. All I gotta do is basically bring them into the courtroom, which I'll do. We can, I've got their names at the office. We can cite them and code enforcement, bring them into this court, and we can reinstitute an action in the circuit court and make them clean it up. And we'll do the best we can. I mean, they drained the pool.
They did,
All right,
but it just filled back up.
Okay, so we need to, so we made some progress. It ain't permanent progress, so we need to go after them again, and I will do exactly that. I'll keep chasing them for you. But I know who it is. I've got it in my file.
Is there any way that, that we could spray for mosquito, that we could do anything in the meantime? Because that doesn't sound like it's gonna be anything quick.
We can actually go do something with it probably and leave them here with Bob. Can't we send somebody out there to spray those mosquitoes that got the draft?
I'll defer over there to Rick, let him answer that one. I mean,
Can we put stuff
Or
in the
pour
pool?
something in the pool or
yeah.
anything?
I can put growth retardant in the pool, like poison. It's something that'll keep the immature mosquitoes from developing into mosquitoes. I can do that.
Can I hug you?
Look, I don't think anybody would fault you if you went over a dose, so.
The thing is, I've been pouring bleach in it and I've been doing that for 2.5 years. And, I mean, I live in Friarsgate. I obviously don't have the money to clean that pool. So I'm just, the people that live immediately to one side of it have a little baby girl that's not quite a year old. The people on the other side of that house have 3 little ones that live there. My other neighbor, their dog has got heartworms twice. Yesterday, my other neighbor came over to see me, give me a little gift, and we stood outside for maybe 10 minutes, and we were all like we couldn't even finish a conversation. They were like, they had to take the kids and go, and we had to go in. It was just, I mean, it's terrible. Like, people are, I don't know, it's just, and it's unsightly, to say the least. I mean, I think probably reassess and, like, drop all our taxes by 50%, because that house is not doing much for the community.
Quit's gonna help us, so I don't know what else to do.
Is this one of the houses that was on the list that Sergeant Ring had let go? He said there was like 7 or 8.
I believe there was one on Main Street.
Well, this one backs up to my house. Our backyard's back up, so it's 131 Whitewood. Whitewood, everybody says it different, I don't know which.
I mean, after looking at it, I'm sure it's probably on the list, but I don't know for a fact.
And I've got the people, I know what to do. You just come see me.
Okay.
We'll dump the stuff in the pool, and you'll kill the mosquitoes. I know what to do, just
You're gonna go see, you're gonna go see Mr. Moore,
Yes.
and Whit's gonna take care of the mosquito thing.
Okay.
Okay, what else can we do?
Nothing, that's awesome. I hope I don't see you guys again.
You've been dealing with this a long time, and I.
Yes, ma'am.
That's bad.
Thank
Tell
you.
What else I would do if I were you? You'll see me out in another meeting. I'll loan you my sump pump. And you can basically put the sump pump down in and pull the thing out again. Put in my house, you my sump pump, you want my money back. Sump pump will one fall. With the sump pump, take a while. You'll do that.
What is that?
The sump pump, pump it out.
Yeah, so pump it out.
I'll loan you my sump pump, you can come get it and pump it out. All you gotta do is run with the
Well,
precision.
I realize we're gonna do that, but we
To put that chemical in there,
then sump it out too, or whatever.
it is,
What could we sort of pump it out?
You could just, every time it rains, we're gonna have to do it again.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and you put the chemicals in there, the chemicals.
It's pretty deep right now. It looks like it's about that deep. Although it's been hot the last few days, maybe some of that evaporated, I don't know.
But every time it rains, you're right.
Yeah, every time it rains, then it fills back up.
Lord.
Well, thank you.
I want to ask a question, Jake. This has to do with those liens and that kind of thing. Let's say a property like that one or the other one on 213 North Northern Tower, whatever it is. Can we put a lien against the property, I'll say every 5th day of the month, for an exorbitant price, to include everything we've done at a $300 hour rate?
What you do is,
And then just do it every 15th day of the, or 5th of the month for the previous month until somebody takes notice that they should do something about that house.
according to the ordinance that we passed, all you're able to get is your actual out-of-pocket expenses.
So we have to change the ordinance on that. Is it legal if we change it to,
You claim man hours and
You
administrative.
claim man hours, but you're not gonna be able to get off with charging a penalty. You can't charge a civil penalty.
I mean, if we go out there and cut the grass and do some stuff and it costs a contractor $500, can we charge $2,000 because we have to pay our code enforcement and Bob and you and everybody else to do whatever? Now we got a limit.
Probably can't charge 2,000, but you can compute what the legitimate time is and all that.
And we just need a good computer rate.
That's right. You tell me who they are, you've got the forms, all we gotta do is know who they are and which property it is, and file one. That's easy.
Well, if,
I mean, we normally only charge for the actual line, and we haven't thrown in any.
yeah, but still, if that guy in Virginia is sitting up there going,
laughing at you.
yeah, and he's getting a $50 a month bill, he don't care. If he gets a $500 a month bill or $1,000, I don't know, then he might change his grid on his face a little bit. Sooner or later, he might send somebody down here to fix it, I don't know. Or he might sell it for $1,000 and do it, or blow it up, burn it up, tear it down.
I'll look into it. I mean, Jake, what, $500 an hour?
Me?
Yeah, I mean, we can figure out, we just need a good computed hourly rate that, here's what we spend on these properties to include our attorney fee,
My hour is going to be less an hour, I don't know what else.
We have to see the details.
Do we need an executive session?
Next item on the agenda is executive session if needed. Is there an executive session if needed?
Wait a minute,
Oh,
another
we're sorry.
Oh,
presentation about the,
is anyone else, want to address? Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That was my fault, I'm sorry.
Well, I know why you had that fault.
I saw that and it just slapped. That did it, you're right.
Just for you. Julius Waits, 124 Bolters Lock Road in Old Friars Gate. Last meeting in June, we were I asked a question about renters agreements and rental property, and the chief looked into this piece of property that I was asking about. Talked with Officer Ringer on the 13th of July, and then I called back the next day, and his voice message went to Officer Stokes, who has now taken over his job for a time being, maybe. Oh, Officer Stokes said it was him. And he called me Sunday afternoon after I got back from being out of town and said that he had been by this piece of property and had talked to the tenant, and said he could find no record at headquarters of this property even being contacted. And I know for a fact that today, after we had our conversation, you sent an officer over there.
Sergeant Ringer talked to him, and they said the bags of trash would be moved by Saturday. They were actually cans. He's raised money for some type of medical to his daughter.
Well, he's got Herbie's now. Not 20 deep between the two houses, and the trailer, utility trailer, whatever, is parked in the driveway with about 4 or 5 bricks and something holding up the tongue. If it gets loose, it's going to be in the house across the street. Take out somebody driving down the street, take out some kids walking down the street. They're still parking in the yard, but they only do that after 5 o'clock.
How many Kirby?
There's at least 15. I didn't stop and count.
Are they ours?
No, they're not the town's.
But this is this man's trash.
Yeah. Now, the owner of this property,
Keep bringing the trash in from jobs.
We're importing trash.
and this person's business is landscaping.
I understand.
And the yard is now in the street, and every time it rains, the mud is in the street. The next door neighbor that just purchased a house is parking their cars in the yard now because, you see somebody else doing it, you do it. And Officer Stokes said he had talked with the tenant and has given him 2 weeks to correct all of the problems. The owner of the property I talked with after I found out it was rental property, since we can't do anything about owner-occupied property yet, and that was going to be discussed at this meeting if somebody had brought it up.
The workshop, you mean?
No, the idea of making owners of property as responsible as we're making renters of property. They're more responsible for the property than the owner. Our owner-occupied property, based on Section 11.9 of our town code. And this lost my train of thought. This happens when you pass 70.
You're talking about the other rental home?
Beg pardon?
You're talking about the other rental home?
No, thank you. I spoke with the owner of the property on back in May when all this arose, and he was going to talk with his tenant who was trying to buy the property, and he plans on putting all of this stuff in the backyard. It won't fit in the backyard, at least it wouldn't fit in mine, and I think our lots are pretty much the same along that street. But the point is, the owner of the property is a real estate agent, as is his wife, and he was going to get it corrected. And when it wasn't corrected, from the 5th of May until I spoke addressed the council about it, and the chief said he would look into it the next day, nothing's been done as far as stopping all the violations of these ordinances. And maybe the town ought to fine the real estate salesperson this $1,000 for each violation, or put him in jail for 30 days, which is what the ordinance says.
Is Advanced Disposal going to pick up that trash?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
Because it's between this house and the owner-occupied house next door. And the owner next door said he didn't want to get involved because he had had words with the guy before, and he didn't get anywhere.
Technically, they're not supposed to pick up anything other than stuff that comes off the property.
Yeah, but
Even if the landscaper goes and cuts that grass there, rakes leaves and bags them, they're supposed to haul them off.
yeah.
Well, you can prove all that, whatever.
Apparently you won't pick up your car
I'm the owner. Which is what the ordinance says you can do, and every time he's in violation, it's $1,000 or 30 days or both. And it's kind of like when I taught school, I used, kids would say, well, if they're just doing a little thing wrong, I said, it's like when the little girl came home and said, Daddy, I'm a little bit pregnant. Either you are or you aren't. So if you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law. Well, I'm breaking it just a little bit. Little bit goes a long way.
What was the address of that property?
148
Bolter's Lock.
Bolter's Lock Road. It's 4 houses down from my house, 3 houses down from Councilman Hoots. And there's 2 nice houses in between that the owners, well, the first owner takes care of his property. The second owner is new and is parking his cars in the yard because he sees it being done next door.
And Chief, did you say code enforcement been by there and talked to him? And you said there was a fundraiser or something?
The last complaint was there's 40 trash bags on the side of the house. The issue was Houston started trying to park his cars in the backyard. We went over there, he removed the trash bags, according to what Sergeant Ringer told me. And we weren't aware they were parking cars there after 5, but this is the first I've heard of the urban curtains. But we'll look into that tomorrow. But the trash bags are picked up, the trailer's new, the Herbie Kirby's are new.
Well, the trailer comes and goes. I think they use that as a business,
Sure.
To live in when they're doing jobs out of town, maybe.
Well, it's like a camping trailer.
Yes.
not a utility
There's a small
camping
trailer about from here to the deal.
Previous issues that were addressed at the last council meeting, my understanding, except for parking after 5, has been cleaned up.
And what's parking on the yard is a dually with a trailer attached to it. And that sometimes there's 2 of them.
And when he moves them, he has started putting an orange cone over the water meter, so they don't run over the water meter. But they are coming in late in the evening.
Okay.
So if nobody's there it's kind of like if a dog, when I lived in the city of Clinton, a dog attacked my wife and I one day, and we were walking
No, they weren't
our little
allowed.
dog. Well, we only do this after 5 o'clock. I said, well, the dog didn't have his wristwatch on, so I knew he didn't know he was safe. Thank you.
Thank
All right, thank you. Anyone else? And no one else? Next item is executive session. Is there none known about by anybody?
No, but Bob's moving down tomorrow, y'all need to know that.
Glorious, you guys too.
So, next item is adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Go
don't get
ahead.
recognized.
Say aye.
That's all you
Say,
get.
say.
I'll be back, sir.